second point I'm arguing, and that is that an absolute monarchy is a humane form of government. And I understand that there are many people who do not believe so and have proof that it is not a humane form of government. But I would like to remind you that you must consider the personality and the history of our current monarch, Queen Elizabeth II of England, Britain, United Kingdom, and their heirs to the throne, Prince Charles and Prince William. You must also consider the government and our decisions in the past. The government and myself, by observing the royal family and their actions, can assure you that inhumane decisions would be out of the question. There is evidence that the current monarchs simply want what is best for their country. There may be mistakes made along the way, but they will be small and easy to fix. A country needs to have a sense of nationalism, and the people need to feel they have a national identity. This is only possible with an absolute monarch. An absolute monarchy is a form of government that is infallible and will give the people of the United Kingdom something to believe in and fight for. The third point I am arguing for is that an absolute monarchy is a just form of government. Any decision-making that the monarch makes will be put through the government and myself. We will be the royal advisors, and we also, likewise to the monarch, want what is best for our country. This system will ensure that any laws passed or decisions made will be fair and not affect anyone in a negative way. Naturally, in every government around the world, you have decisions that affect somebody in a negative way, and so it is extremely hard to satisfy everybody, but we'll do our best to do that. The monarch will always want what is best for their country, and therefore make decisions based on this concept. The people need a country that is stable and that can resist war and poverty and all the things that a country could be struck with. A country needs a monarch and an absolute monarch, e-government. Thank you.
I thank the Prime Minister for her remarks and remind the judges that they should not score any debater until they have heard all the speeches. We shall now hear the first speaker of the opposition. If the opposition intends to contest the government definitions or to introduce a counter plan, it must do so during this address.
Good afternoon, judges. Good afternoon, dear those from the opposing side. I'm here to talk about the reality. I'm here to talk about modern day society and the way it is structured. My opinion is that the Prime Minister missed out on a lot of things in his speech, such as the current time. It's not the Middle Ages. It's not the Middle Ages. It's the 21st century, and no one's going to come with a horse and a huge sword going to lead his people into battle, because monarchy has faded away. True absolute monarchy barely exists today. Why? Because of the process of evolution that has occurred in our modern day, in society in general. We have new wonder, democracy. The way we elect our leader is unique and irreplaceable. How are we going to elect our monarch? Is he going to come with firepower and a nuclear bomb and we're all going to accept him? That's not going to work at all. On behalf of the opposition, I'm going to state that we're not here to convince anyone. We're simply here to state what is real and what is current. Monarchy is not current. It does not exist. Absolute monarchy does not exist, and that is a fact.
Source!
The only absolute monarchy is in Saudi Arabia.
No.
The the only absolute monarchy is in Saudi. There are monarchies, such as even Canada is considered a monarchy, Great Britain, Australia, even Greenland, but they're not absolute monarchies. And the Prime Minister was indeed talking about the absolute monarchies. It's simply unacceptable having it, for the reasons being that people evolve. There is the wonder called internet, the global village. We're all connected. It's impossible for someone to come and convince millions and millions of people that he is the right choice for them, that he is the leader that they need. How is he, I ask, going to convince the people that he's the right one if he's an absolute monarch? That's the past. It's why. I have another question. Why is the most prosperous countries in the universe, in the world, are not monarchies? And for one, the United States of America is the biggest democracy and maybe the first, the most prosperous one in the world. A monarchy, an absolute monarchy, cannot be prosperous because it reminds us of a way earlier thing that occurred. It's called communism, dictatorship. It reminds us of that. And you all know what communism and dictatorship brought us, especially near Russia and the Balkans. We can for sure, definitely, I see there are some reactions back there, but yes, we can compare absolute monarchy to dictatorship. They are different, but lack of freedom is just universal. It won't have the same quality.
I'd just like to say that in dictatorship, a single person would take control of a country without having the best interest of his people and his country in mind.
And how you might know that an absolute monarch thinks about the people and has the best interests of them? How do you know that? How can you ensure why isn't every single country in the world an absolute monarchy when they are sure, they're positive that he's gonna take care of them, he's not gonna put taxes, that he's gonna be an angel? Why isn't that happening? Because it's impossible. It's in the human nature to get the power to their heads, to people. It's in their nature. It's impossible for every single absolute monarch to be caring. If it was possible, every country in Europe would be an absolute monarch, even in the world. Okay, let me put it in a nice little concise way. It's not effective at all. It's not being used, it's not effective, it's part of the past. It's the 21st century, we have democracy, and it works. Questions?
Can I ask a question? 1 second, what was I? Oh yeah, first of all, it is possible. You said it was impossible, which is completely closed-minded of you to think that it's impossible, because it is possible. And second of all, there are many countries around the world, perhaps the majority of them have a constitutional government or democracy, but there are quite a few very successful countries such as Vatican City, Swaziland, Oman, Saudi Arabia, and many more. Don't laugh, it's true. They're very successful, they have very high economic levels, very high standards of living, and it's absolute monarchy has certainly worked for them, so why can't it work for us and even benefit us and raise the country's and the people's standard of living?
Did you just mention the Vatican
City. It's a state.
It's a formal country.
It's a state within a country, and it
It's a
has
state
an
within a
absolute
country.
monarch.
They do have an absolute monarch, but that's not a strong, well-developed country that has a huge effect on the world, such as the United States of America, which is a democracy again. And what, did you mention there's Saudi Arabia there? Yeah, I don't even want to comment on that.
Saudi Arabia
It's one of the richest
countries in the
the monarch.
world.
Saudi Arabia.
Tiny.
Have you ever seen
Thank you for your remarks. I now call upon the second government speaker.
As my Prime Minister has stated, providing the United Kingdom with an absolute monarchy would be a just, humane, and effective move. Because an absolute monarch can prevent corruption and make decisions using his own thoughts and feelings, and he can consider what the people want and benefit the country. He can prevent uprising and can stop those who are threatening him, and this would not cause wars in the country. Whatever the monarch says is done, and there are no arguments, and he thinks of the best for his country. He single-handedly can help the poor and make his country or kingdom a better place. I will take that at the end. Absolute government would create decisions that are the best of the people. The government would open new jobs and employment, and that the taxes would be used in military, government hospitals, and education. Also, they would protect the lives of their citizens by preventing robbery and many other crimes. The money raised from the hospitals can cause free healthcare, and I can give examples from nowadays. In Serbia, Sweden, and Turkey, there are many free healthcares, and they can like get to the hospitals and don't pay anything. And there's also free education nowadays, and this can in Russia there are free universities. So an absolute monarch can make the decision of either going to war and surrendering. And this could cause, like in England, before, like when there was no absolute monarchy, there was many wars and many ideas. If there is only one ruler, this is what they pick, and the ideas are stable. And history is rife with examples of successful monarchs, such as Peter the Great, who expanded Russia into a 3 billion acre sophisticated empire from a crumbling, weak nation. He glorified the Russian land, and nowadays Russia is a very huge country which covers most of Asia. Another great example is the Sun King, Louis XIV of France. During his 72 years of reign, and it was a very, very long period of reign, and he did the best for his people. He stabilized France and made it one of the biggest powers in Europe. And since then, his rule has been adopted as a supreme example of a type of government, which is absolutism. And dear Speaker, our law of opposition, Mr. Speaker, our law of opposition has said that there are no examples of absolute monarchy nowadays, but the countries which use absolute monarchy nowadays are maybe one of the strongest. And he also said that dictatorship is taking over, but dictatorship is when only one person rules over the country. But in this case, our monarch decides for the best of our country, like Louis XIV. And the people were happy, they had their essential freedoms under an absolute monarch. You were going to ask something? And yes, can I take your question, please?
Do you really think this monarchy experiment of yours that you're mentioning will work for Louis XIV lived 6 centuries ago?
Yes, it will. Because he ruled 72 years, the people were happy for him.
6 centuries ago.
So we're trying to carry this to nowadays, and it will work still. If it worked then, it will work now. It's only 4 centuries, it's not 6 centuries.
4, my bad.
You're bad. Any other questions?
I'd like to ask that question again. It's 4 centuries, that's a long time. In that amount of time, don't you think that the people's thinking would change?
Well, it did, but nowadays we can still see that it's the best form of government. It's effective on people. It's just and it's humane.
Like Louis XIV, his palace in Versailles, that left people in poverty because of the high taxes. Do you not agree that?
Nowadays, France is like, because of Versailles, it's now touristic and people go there and it's still earning from that for 4 centuries. It's still earning.
But you know the exact thing, amount that it's earning. Exactly.
But it's still earning something from Versailles.
How do you know?
It is. Wikipedia.org. And I would like to restate our statements. Providing the United Kingdom with an absolute monarchy is effective, just, and humane.
Thank you. The Leader of the Opposition will now deliver the last speech opposing the resolution. It is her responsibility to complete the attack on the government case and to defend and summarize the position of the opposition. I remind the Leader of the Opposition that the last 3 minutes of this speech constitutes the opposition rebuttal. During this 3-minute speech, although new evidence may be added, no new contentions may be introduced.
An absolute government monarchy is not a just and is not a humane form of government. In absolute monarchy, there is no one to control the monarchy. There is no one to control the monarchy or make sure that other voices besides the monarch's voices are heard. So this is not really in the best for the overall interest of people, the country's people, which is basically the main reason why people have a leader. Someone to take care of them and show them the way, not someone to sit in a chair and spoil themselves. Some of these examples are King Louis XIV of France and King Henry VIII of England. Evidently, there will be others, such as the top advisors behind the king, who do gain power. But these advisors usually twist and grind the monarchy to their own personal benefit. They would gain so much power and authority, and the one person who is most likely to become these top advisor, or the main top advisor, is the Prime Minister. Of course, why else would she want to change this type of government? She would have England at her fingertips. Do you really see our sweet little old granny? Do you really see our sweet little old granny queen wanting to be basically a dictator over all of England?
Point of order. You insulted me.
Okay.
Point of order, I was thinking that.
Okay.